Today I'm going to share with you my experience with this new case known as the Okinos Air Cross, and this is a mid-tower case. Now this is not a very popular brand, but it exists, and some of the cases which I've actually gone through, they are of premium build. Starting off with the exterior, looking at the side, you have a tinted tempered glass. At the bottom, ventilated mesh, and right at the front you have 3/4 mesh. In fact, it's the whole width and 3/4 of it, so there'll be plenty of air going through. And right at the bottom there is this wood panel, and this is made of walnut, and a very big power button. Nice. Over at this side you have a full metal panel, and at the bottom ventilator areas again, where you have the whole bar ventilator hose. And right at the back, wow, this is fantastic, full of honeycomb ventilator area, or should I say ventilator hose. And this will tell me that the case is built for airflow, and I'll explain to you how the air goes in and out of the case. Now starting from the top, you have this IO cutout. When I glide my finger along, right, I won't get cut. Kudos to them, attention to details, this is what I like. Right at the bottom you have 7 expansion slot. Now this 7 expansion slot is not only locked by screws, but you have a second layer, which is this. So assuming that you have fastened your PCIe card with the screws, and this is to lock it, so you will be very secure. And over at this section, well, this case in fact comes with pre-installed fans, right? Except for the rear, for some reason I'll explain to you. By the way, this allows you to mount a 120mm fans or a 140mm fans to exhaust the hot air out. Now as for the measurement, do note that on the website itself, the dimension, right, they start from here, because this is protruding out. So from here, protruding out all the way to the front, this is at 468mm. If you don't count this, right, just this is 460mm. And the height, this is at 462mm. As for the width, is at 238mm. For the bottom section, my finger hardly go through, but it doesn't matter. In fact, this is 10mm. Reason being, right, the air is not drawn from the bottom section. Instead, the bottom fans, right, is drawing air through the side mesh over here and over here. Not only that, also through this section. So they have catered that the bottom chamber of this case, right, is mainly to draw air in from the bottom fans. Nice thought. Now, as to remove all the panels, starting off from here, it's toolless. So basically there is this notch over here, so you just place your finger over here. Then at all times, right, make sure, I always advise all my viewers, make sure you have both hands working and not just pull one side, because if you pull one side, right, this might just fall off and to break your glass. So make sure you have both hands on the panel, just pull it out, okay, and remove. And as you can see over here, right, there are 2 notches over here. If you want to place it back, just go against the slots over here. So this is actually how it's been done, and you can just pop it back in. Now for the bottom section, you can remove 2. There are 2 thumb screws over here, so you just slide towards the back, and this is removed, and this is pretty nicely done. Okay, I wish that they have the mesh filter, but I guess these are fine enough. If they were to place a mesh filter, right, that will obstruct air, so that's the reason why they have not placed the dust filter. So as you can see, right, the bottom section, so this is where the air going in, and the bottom fans is actually drawing air in to the case. Now right at the front, I know some of you have actually watched reviews on this case where reviewers will press this at the center. Yes, true enough, this will come out. but I wouldn't advise you guys to do so, based on the fact that if you keep on pressing the center, right, this thing will warp, like bend. I would to advise having both thumb at each side, press and to let go, so to protect this from arching. Now, to place this back, right, it's the same where you have two notch over here and the two hinge over here. Just place it in and pop it back in. Okay. Now, when you remove this front panel, right, you will expose two 140mm fan, and these are pre-installed. You can change your own fan too. I'll talk about it. And below here, as mentioned, right, this is a walnut panel, and I will talk about this in detail in a short while. Now, coming to the side, same thing. Make sure you have both hands, and there's a notch over here. Grab here and pull, supporting it, pull up. Now, the way to fasten it is the same, where you have two notch over here. So, point to the slot and to put it back. It's that simple. Now, as for the top, there is this lever over here, okay? So you just need to push it up. Alright? And lift this up. A very nice mesh again. Now, kudos to them, they have not done fan filters over here. In fact, it's not necessary because it's exhausting air out. So, most of the dust, right, is not going into the case. Instead, all the hot air is pushing out, off. Now, regarding about the top, this is how it looks like. See, you have 140mm slot and 120mm slot, and these are wide open. Nicely done. And for the control, right, now, right at the bottom, this is the power button. At the top, you have a reset switch, two USB 3.0, a Type-C port, and a combo microphone and headphone jack. Now, something which I would like to mention, that if you guys are not familiar with this case, right, make sure you read the instruction manual, because some of you might misunderstood that this is the power button. This is not. This is the reset switch, okay? And this is the power button over here. Somehow I feel that, okay, probably they should design in a way that they have the power button at the top too. So this will lessen the confusion, because this button is so big. Normally the reset button, right, is very small. So something that Okinos might want to consider, but this is good invention too, as in like, big enough to press. At the bottom of this case, there are dust filter too. Now, just to show you the interior first, as in like the bottom fans, there are two pre-installed 120mm fans. As mentioned to you at the bottom, you have a fan dust filter, and this is magnetic. You can just take it out. See? So you can wash it. Once it's done, you can put it back. You know what, guys? Where are my manners? I've forgotten to thank Okinos to have provided this unit for me to share with everyone. Now, I'm just going to start with the accessory package, as something is very familiar to me and it reminds me of my past. That's the reason why I'm going to go through with this. Now, when you unpack this accessory package, you will be provided with an instruction manual, and it's nicely written, very big instruction. That's what I like. And you'll be provided with a 140mm fan, and this is meant for you to mount the rear fan. Now, reason they have not pre-installed this rear fan is because of the warning over here. Okay, probably you can't see it. Let me just remove. It's stated very clearly, always install the top 360 radiator before mounting the rear 140mm fans. So that's the reason why they have not installed this. You're supposed to mount your liquid AIO first before you mount this. If you mount this in, right, you're gonna have difficulties mounting your 360. So that's the reason why. Now, beside the package itself, you have this accessory box. Okay, let me just put this nicely. Do pardon me. Now, there will be a storytelling regarding about what I feel about the accessories. Alright, so when you unpack this, what do you get? Tons of stuff. First of all, you have some zip ties. Okay, let me just take them out. You have some zip ties. You have the studs to, okay, at the top there are these studs to clip your panel. If this break, you can use this as a replacement. And a bag of screws, where it's meant for your SSD, your hard disk, your standoffs and such. And also a standoff locking nut. Okay, see, nice. And best part, they have this stopper, or should I say the rubber stoppers, to fill up the top IO panel, those holes that if you're not in use. In fact, I dropped one, there's one more. Okay, let me just see if I could grab it. Okay, here we go. Two USB 3.0, the Type C, and this is the combo microphone and headphone jack. Nice. And you'll be given this splitter, fan splitter, just in case if you need it. Well thought of. Now this is the rear fan screw, total of 4. This bag contains the GPU support bracket. Okay, one at the top, one at the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna figure out how this is gonna be fixed, which is to this slot over here. And these are the thumb screws. Oh, okay, now I understand. It's through this way. So it's one at the top, one at the bottom to support your horizontal GPU. Okay, coming to this. Now I know lots of them will not talk about this. This is something which those people who actually do kitchen cabinets, you will know what this is. In fact, when you order a kitchen cabinet, when they do the finish and stuff, right, this will be provided. In fact, it's to tell you that this is exactly what you're using on the front panel, okay, which is walnut. So this is actually to respect the owner, that if you purchase anything wood finish, right, they are using exactly the same material. And now come to a history on what I think about the panel at the front. Alright guys, gonna break off from the review and to bring you to history lessons. I know history will be clear. Now, I'd just like to share with you about the certain part of the wood that's been used to manufacture all the wood products like furniture, kitchen cabinets, you know, chest boxes and such. And there is a reason why. Now, bear with me. For example, this is taken off from a dark walnut tree, the whole tree. And it's split into different sections, whereby this different section over here, right, they are being made use to do certain things. Take for example, the trunk itself is for large piece of furniture, countertops where you cut your vegetable and cut your meat, right. The large panel at the top, this are being done using the trunk, and this is actually the best quality of the wood, whereby the pigment, right, is of high quality and it's very uniform, because based on the nature that this is always the darkest section. Okay, as in like, you know, having a uniform grain and such. Next will be the limb, whereby it's also used to do furniture, kitchen cabinets like the shaker doors. For those of you who actually done wood finishing, right, you understand what does shaker door means, whereby the side, the border of the door, right, is making use of this. And also the crown molding at the top and such. Anyway, this section here has a very unified pigment. I'll explain to you what I mean by pigments. Last but not least, which is the branches. Now, this will expose to a lot of sunlight, whereby the pigments are not uniform. So these are often used to do chest boxes, shoe shelves, etc. Now, coming to cases, I believe that you guys have witnessed that, you know, for case manufacturer, right, they have done cases with wood essence, which is this. Now, I'm not going to label which company or such. It's just that I'm just going to take a screenshot and to show you. Now, looking at this tree, tell me which looks good. Okay, take a minute. The reason why I have explained regarding about the wood finish, right? Alright, this tree, the last one looks good. For the first and second, right, in fact, thanks to all this case manufacturer, they have made use of the wood instead of having the wood cutters to, dispose all those, no quality wood, which is the branches, where this is exposed to sunlight. And I mentioned that it's not uniform in pigment. Take a look at the pigment. Some dark, some light, some dark, some light. So this is actually due to the expose of sunlight. Now, this is walnut, right? This is oak, and this is oak. So if you compare, right, for dark walnut, especially if it's exposed to sunlight, right, you will have a lot of different ununiform pigment. Now, it is still good that you place it on your desk and there's a touch of wood. But for those who are actually into details as in like wood finishing, and when you look it from far, right, this will be very ugly. All right. I'm so sorry to say this to majority of the case manufacturer. I know that, I appreciate that you have done a great job by, making use of this tree branch instead of throwing them away, saving the trees. Now, coming to the oak section, right, it's the same thing. You have the branches, you have the limb. Now, over here, right, as you can see, there is also pigment. As compared to the right, this case manufacturer did put into consideration that they want the wood piece to look good. So that's the reason why, right, okay, it's very uniform. And I believe this is making use of the limb, whereby less sunlight is being exposed. So you can compare the oak over here and over here. Yeah, probably you say there's a gap, but if I were to join this gap together, right, I mean the wood together, right, you will still see the difference on the pigment itself. See? So I would prefer, as a wood finisher myself, right, in the past, right, I would choose this kind of case which is uniform, which will blend in well, especially when you have, okay, it's very hard to match the wood table together with the case with the same material if you purchase it differently, okay, but you can match it if you get one whole set, as in like the tree is from the same, I mean the table and case, right, is of the same tree. You can do that. Now, coming to the part which is more interesting, why am I so interested to review Okinos case? It all started off from this case, okay, Cypress 7. A friend of mine bought this case from Amazon, so he was consulting me regarding about some electronic stuff inside his case because it didn't get to work. So I went to his place. The moment I stepped into his room and I looked at the case, I was like, what? It is so beautiful. I mean, the wood grain was like, my goodness, of all the case manufacturers, right, that I've seen through and such, right, I have never come across such wood grain that is so refined. So I was actually, instead of helping him, I was like, staring at the wood grain. I really love it a lot. So I was trying to engage Okinos, but somehow no reply and such. End up during Computex, okay, I didn't go for Computex. Another Singaporean reviewer, Real Tan, thank you to you. He was there doing all his shots and such, and a Okinos representative thought that Real Tan is me. So he approached him saying that, hey, are you clear? Anyway, so this is actually what happened. End up, Real Tan was relating the message to me. Then I get in touch with Okinos. Thanks to Okinos. Then I was inquiring this case. I'll say that, can I have, I know this is actually in the past, but can I have this case to do the review? Because I really wanted to share with you guys how beautiful this case is. But somehow this was out of stock. So as months passed by, right, I have no news from Okinos. So right out of a sudden, they approached me and said that, hey, Cleo, would you like to do their new case, which is the Air Cross, which is this? And I was like looking at their material and such. I was like, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. So I agreed and I say that, okay, I would like to do it. Now, the moment this case arrived, I am stunned again. Okay, reason being, right, take a look at the wood finish. Okay, looking at this end over here where the light shines over here, right, it shows the darkness, but it's very uniform. Ignore the eye over here. Every wood will have an eye over there, okay? It's so uniform. And when I tilt to a different angle where the light is shining over here, right, take a look, it's very refined. So I'm getting very curious. Yes, I'm going to do a review on this, but on top of which, right, I got very curious about the whole wood thing from Okinos. So I had a look on their website. Take a look. All their cases, my goodness, it's so beautiful, very uniform. And this is on the other angle. This is on the light shades. On the lights are shining over here. See? So this is actually what happened. Why am I so interested to get this case review to show you guys, and why I've selected theme as in, like, you know, when you look at the thumbnail, right, the background is actually a forest, because this is really a breath of fresh air, which is, I really appreciate what they have done. Fantastic wood finish. Alright, now back to the review. Kudos to Okinos to have provided this sample. Now, this is not for show. In fact, this shows how serious they are when they are selling the case with wood finish to you. Verifying that this piece over here, right, not only the material, but the finish is exactly the same of what you will get on the case itself. That's why I like to emphasize on this. And this case is not expensive to start with. It only costs $80 USD. And not only this, there are other cases like the Cypress 7, which impressed me hell a lot besides this case, due to the nice wood finish again. All this stuff I took into consideration, as in, like, I do appreciate what they have done. Now, coming back to the case itself, this is a mid-tower case. Though it's mid-tower, but it's very spacious to work with. We have a total of 6 mounting points, or should I say cut off, 2 at the top, 2 at the side, and 2 at the bottom. And all this cut out, when I glide my fingers, I don't get cut. Nice touch, attention to details. Now, on the side, there are 2 very big rubber grommet for you to pass through your 24-pin cables or even your USB cables. There are more cutouts, as you can see on the case itself. Now, this is meant for you to mount BTF motherboard, be it ATX or MATX, as you have cut out for ATX and MATX. For the board arrangement, you're only able to cater for ATX form factor to ITX. Kindly do not place EATX, it will not work. Reason being, take a look at the bottom. Now, this is ATX, so if you put EATX, right, your board can't fit. This is going to block it, so take note on this. Now, besides this, for the fan arrangement, now before I talk about the fan arrangement, this case comes with pre-installed fans, which is total of 4. 2 at the front, 140 mm, 2 at the bottom, 120 mm, and with this, which is 140 at the rear. Now, why is this not placed? As I mentioned to you, you need to plug your liquid AIO first before you plug the rear fan. Now, for fan arrangement, as already mentioned, 240 mm at the front, no 120, alright, you can't do that. There are no slot for 120 mm, so it's only for 140. If you want to change out the fans, take note on this. And at the bottom, only 120 mm fans, 2. You can swap out 2 if you want to. For the top, you're able to cater for 3 120 mm fans, 2 140 mm fans. And for the rear, it's either 140 mm, which you use their the 140 that comes with the case itself, or you can swap out, or you can place a 120 mm fan. Okay, it's all up to you. Now, for radiator placement, I know that at the front, you can cater for 240 mm. I tried placing a 280 liquid AIO, it doesn't fit. So you can't do on the front. At the bottom, nobody's going to do that. At the top, you'll be able to cater for 240, 360, and 280. And at the rear, you'll be able to cater for 140 and 120. This is the other side of the panel where it shows you the cable management area. I will show you the top later. Now starting from the bottom, as you can see, there are plenty of space over here for you to do cable management. And by right, this is where the PSU is, but instead they are located at the front. And when you're placing your PSU, make sure that the modular socket is facing this way and not the AC socket. Do take note on this. Now having to plug this is a Seasonic PX 1200 platinum power supply and has a length of 160. If I were to swivel to the side, see the gap? Plenty. From here to here, this is at 38mm. Even if you were to populate a 170 length PSU, right, which is from here to here, this is at 28mm. So you have plenty of gap for you to plug your modular cables. So it's safe to plug in and to bend and to place it to where your motherboard is. Nicely done. The top section of the cable management area, I'll start off with the hard disk caddy. There are a total of 2. This enables you to mount a 3.5-inch hard disk, and this enables you to mount two 2.5-inch hard disks. And both of these caddy, you can remove them. There are thumb screws located at the top, so you can just remove. See, it's quite easy. And over at this side, same thing. You can remove the thumb screw and to remove off this caddy. So this will let you plug your hard disk with ease. You can remove it and to plug. See, same goes to your 2.5-inch SSD. Now there are a total of 7 tie-down points. 2 over here, 2 over here, 2 over here, and 3 at the bottom. An additional of 3 Velcro stripe for you to do your cable management. Nicely done. And this 2 slot over here is meant for you to plug the GPU supporting bracket. Back to the front, as mentioned to you, this is the PSU area where I mounted my Seasonic PSU, and you have a plug to plug this. And this will extend all the way to the back, which is here. Now, this is rather flexible, as in like this plug over here. So you can turn it this way. Okay, you can actually extend. You can turn it this way, you can turn it this way, or even straight. It doesn't matter. They have planned the thing properly for you. Well thought. Okay, let me just plug this in, and you can plug the cable nicely. Now, earlier on I mentioned about the GPU bracket. As you can see here, you can move up or down. You can even choose to slot to here. If your graphic card is longer than 367. Now, this is a tough 4090, which has a length. Okay, let me just put this nicely. Which has a length. Sorry, it's crooked. Which has a length of 365. Okay, so you'll be able to cater graphic card that is around this length or not exceeding 380. Though it's stated on the spec of this case is 400, which is down here, I would advise not to go touching this. Probably around 380. Aim for card that is around 380 in length. Now, as mentioned, for the mounting bracket itself, right, you can swivel up and down, or you can even move this to the first slot. Now, it has a very unique mechanism. Of course, you can lock this. Right now it's actually loose. You will need to tighten up the 2 screws over here. Alright. Now, what's so special about this? You can release this thumb screw and swivel, so you will catch accordingly to the length of your card. Nicely thought. And this is in a sandwich method, as in if you plug your card in, right, assuming you can just sandwich it so that you will cram to your card. Well done. Fixing all the components in this case is a breeze. Holes that's allocated to pull through and such is very easy, and the GPU support bracket is doing very well. So let me just show you over here. See, the bubble is at the center. Now, something to take note, if you to mount a liquid AIO at the top, right, make sure you plug in your 8-pin EPS cable first. Alright, and the rest, like your ARGB connection point and such, make sure you connect them first before you mount the liquid AIO. Then once you mount your liquid AIO, right, you can mount your 140mm fan at the rear. Now, you will be asking, can I mount a liquid freezer 2 or 3 360? Not a problem. If you mount it up right, you will exceed to 63mm in height, which is here. And the thing is that you can't use the 140mm fan at the rear. You will need to swap out to a 120mm. And also take note that if you are using a 360 Arctic liquid, if you are using an Arctic liquid freezer 360, right, take note on your side VRM. Make sure it's not too tall. Okay, I would say around 40mm at height, you can pass through, no problem. But when it comes to Arctic liquid freezer to 280, well, I tried, not able to, based on the fact that it's wide and it hits the side VRM. So kindly do not place any Arctic liquid freezer 2 or 3 280. Now, besides this, right, the height clearance for air cooler, right, is around 180. I would say that the safe gauge should be around 170, not above that. 175 still alright. You might be saying that, hey Cleo, you mounted your GPU. Well, the height is 160 and there are plenty of space for me to angle this. Okay, the 12 volt high power connector, not an issue. What are my thoughts about this Okinos Air Cross at a $80 USD price point? The whole case is very well built, and especially they put in the effort to choose the material used for their wood and the finishing. Well done, as this is the only case, or should I say not only case, some of other Okinos case, right, are the only ones that I enjoy truly watching or looking at the wood grains and the finish. The rest of the case, right, when I look at it, right, it's like, you know, from far it's kind of ugly. So sorry to say this, but I do appreciate that the rest of the manufacturers, right, case manufacturers, right, they are trying to save the trees. This is something which I appreciate. But the thing is that if you are very picky, right, when you look at the wood grain, right, you would prefer a uniform pigment. Now, besides this, right, functionality, well done, easy access and such. And not only this, let me show you the cable management area. See, all the cable ties, all the Velcro stripe, which is allocated, nicely done. As you can see, it took me less than, you know, probably 5 minutes or so just to do the cable management, as there are tons of space for me to put the cables, and I can even tuck them nicely. Take a look, my cables are not, you know, pushing too much. I mean the modular cables, they are just nicely fitted. And best part is that since there's space, right, when I place back the panel will be flush. See, it's flush, it's not bulging out. And besides this, right, at the top, all those IO panels, I mean IO socket, they do provide the rubber studs, or should I say the dust cover, to cover all the holes. Well done. And right at the front over here, tons of space. Now, as mentioned, $80 case. Okay, you still can beautify it. Take a look. If you just put some effort, right, it will look as gorgeous. And it happened that I'm using a Pro Art team. That's why I have my 8.8 inch and the Pro Art design. Too bad my graphic card is not Pro Art. But imagine that this is whole suite. It looks very nice, don't you think? Stealth black, but you still highlight certain components. Now, over here there are space too, tons of space in fact. And when you look at my 12-volt high power cable, right? See? It has more space. In fact, it has space to bend, no problem. In fact, if you take a look at my 8.8-inch LCD, right, it's not pushing. In fact, it's sitting nicely, flat, right angle. And speaking about right angle, right, the GPU bracket, fantastic. If I were to place this over here, see, the bubble is at the center. If I place it over here, it's at the center. This proven that the sandwich GPU support bracket, right, does its job. It really hold the weight at the front. Well done. And of course with the swivel point so that it will not hit the fan, also well done. Now again, I'd like to emphasize $80 point, okay, $80 point, whereby it provides you with 5 fans, 4 pre-installed and 1 you got to install yourself, due to the fact that you got to install the AIO before you can install this. What else can you actually ask for this case? I mean, it's like, oh, not only that, the noise of this case, right, in fact when I ramp up Cinebench, right, it is not noisy at all. These fans are super quiet, and based on the fact that they are 140 mm fans, so it take lower RPM, right, but pull tons of air, and it's able to cool my processor and my GPU. Now when it's with the glass panel, okay, speaking of the glass panel, right, okay, where is my, oh, okay, over here, hang on. You might be wondering, can I close the glass panel? Of course you can, see? Fit nicely. Not a problem. Now, when the glass panel is closed, and when I run the Cinebench, the temperature is hovering very well. My 9950X 3D, in fact, did not hit above 80 degrees Celsius. It's hovering around 78 degrees Celsius and such. And for my GPU, right, it didn't went above 53 degrees Celsius, which is great. As you can see over here, see the temperature, it's all doing very well. Now with this said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my content, and I'd like to thank Okinos to have given me this opportunity to review this case. I hope that you can pass me Cypress 7. In fact, that is the case that I really wanted to present. Anyway, this case is as good as that, and thanks to Okinos to have provided this case for me to share with everyone. And for those of you who actually for those of you who are actually new to my channel, welcome to my channel. If you like my content, do remember to subscribe and to click on the notification bell button. Do me one big favor. If you do like what I'm sharing with you right now, click on the like button, as this will help my channel. With this said, thank you, goodbye, see ya.